Good morning and welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we're going to be taking a look at the new Nilfgaard card reveals for the upcoming Chronicles expansion. And the other day we did the Northern Realms reveals. If you haven't seen the video, I'll put a card for it in the top right here, and you can go check that one out afterwards. I'm going to be going through all the factions one per day, carried out till the end of the weekend, where we have monsters reveals over Saturday and Sunday. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's get into this one here. I should have another video out later today, and potentially even a third, because I have a deck guide I'm looking to finish. And tomorrow, I'm going to have a card reveal of my own, so it's going to be a very busy 24 hours coming up. So, you know, stay tuned for all this fun stuff. Now, let's get into it, guys. This is my first time looking at it thoroughly with you guys here. Now, we have what I see off the bat. Knight Challenger. It's a human knight. Deploy, gain vitality equal to the amount of boosts an enemy unit has. And then Grace 8, boost all units by 1. So they're bringing Knights into Nilfgaard, and they're bringing Grace into Nilfgaard. I don't think that they need this. I think it sort of takes away the identity from what we just had brought into the game for Northern Realms, and I feel like the Northern Realms Knights archetype hasn't been fleshed out enough to go and introduce another Knights archetype for Nilfgaard, but we'll see. I'm looking kind of ahead here, and I can see the Buhurt boosts an enemy unit by 3 and then an ally by 9, so I could see some synergies here with, of course, the vitality gain, right? However, I do feel like most matchups have options of boosting, right? This will play very well into a Triss Meteor Shower matchup where you're pretty well guaranteed to have something on the opponent's side boosted. This will play really well into Knights, Symbiosis, monsters of most varieties, right? There's a lot of things that you can imagine this being pretty bad into, for the opponent at least. So we're getting 4 provisions, 5 base power, and then the ceiling's really unlimited. Let's say you play this early on in the round, you might be able to pull off maybe somewhere between 5 to 7 vitality. It really depends on when they boost the unit by how much they boost it. But if we're getting more than 2 vitality here, that's very good, right? Also, Grace 8, boost all units by 1, is an Extreme Swarm payoff. So Nilfgaard has a lot of ways to spawn and create things, so I think filling the board shouldn't be a huge problem. All you gotta do is boost this to 8, you know, and you trigger the boost all. I've seen Northern Realms do things like this with Meave and other cards that boost all, and it requires a lot more setup than something like this would. Now, if it's able to get 3 vitality, this will just be triggered as a passive. So I think they could have at least made the Grace ceiling a little bit higher, because this card looks pretty overtuned. Because, you know, like worst case scenario, it plays for 5 points for 4 provision, right? It's guaranteed, but the ceiling is just very, very high in this case. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about it. I think it just makes Nilfgaard Bronzes just even better now. They just got recent buffs for the soldiers archetypes, so we have something like this now to make it even worse. Boost an enemy unit by 3 and then an ally by 9. It's just another 4 provision tactic added to the game. I think that this would be really good for setting up something like Cahir, or setting up something like the Challenger, right? Because Cahir is a unit that is boosting when we... You see? Whenever an enemy receives a boost, boost self by the same amount. This could be nice, right? We get the points right back and the 9 boost. So that itself could be played for a lot of points. And then, you know, I've seen this combination enough times where people play Letho and they make another copy of the Cahir and you can just imagine how it's going to get out of hand, right? So expect to see a lot of that, I'm pretty sure. But either way, like, Nilfgaard has lots of tall punish options. What you'll probably see a lot here is the opponent stacking a lot of boost on one of your units and then coming in with, I think, like a Vilgefortz or something, and removing your card that way to essentially get the value back. And that on top of Cahir can be quite difficult to deal with. Otherwise, simple solution of just yanking it with Yen is what you'd probably see after the boosts have been given. So the negative side of this card is not really that big of a deal. Okay, now going into the next one, here we have Guillaume De Launfal. I think I said it properly. Human Knight, deploy, boost self and an enemy unit by half of their combined power. Wow. Okay. Order Grace 14, move all statuses from an enemy unit to self. What statuses would you want? Maybe like a positive infusion, right? Boost self and an enemy unit by half of their combined power. Let's assume that both are 6. So we're boosting this by 6 and that by 6. But then, you know, we can play into that tall punish that I mentioned a little bit more even. Order, okay, at least it's not the same turn. Grace 14, move all statuses from an enemy to self. Whether it's Vitality or Veil or Infuse boost by 1 type thing, that could be good. I don't know if the Grace is as good. Actually, you can basically move Defender from an enemy unit and put Defender on self after it's boosted. Imagine like a 12-point Defender, and if it's like a Donimir of Troy, for example, you can move a shield and the Defender status. This is really strong, right? It's essentially the potential of being a defender, but otherwise it's just not that good. You know what I mean? It does involve some good setup. I'd want to use it for a defender. They do get the points back here, so it's net 6 for 8. You kind of get 12 for 8 because you're removing whatever you put it on. So 12 for 8. And then potential of being a defender or having another benefit. I still think it's a good card. I think it's going to see a lot of play. In fact, when I'm looking at these 3 cards to start, I'm thinking that these are more impressive than what I saw and easier to pull off than what I saw from the new additions for Northern Realms yesterday. Obviously, we see one here, and it's a gold, 13 provision. Location, we got Beauclair and Resilience. Oh man. Deploy set and allied units power to match the highest power enemy unit. Oh. Wow. So what you do in this event is you'd boost up something on the opponent's side a lot with this, right? And this as well. And then once you get it super sky high, then you'd just go and you'd set an allied unit's power to be the same thing. And if you have a defender up, you're feeling pretty good because you can turn like a token into a 20-point unit. This is essentially an Ornate Sensor in a location. You remember when Ornate Sensor was bad? And it just swapped the highest and lowest power? That's basically what it is on the deploy. So this is like something you'd kind of want to use almost like a finisher, even though it has resilience. It's like a round end type thing. So what if you're cramming round 1, you do all this build up, then you use it, and then that causes like the win on even situation, and then order could be used maybe the next round. What is it? Reset the power of a unit. It's like a double tall punish, with a huge swing. It's cards like this, guys. First of all, some of the best card art that I've ever seen in the game. Literally, it's probably going to be the first card that I premium, I think. I really like the scenic cards. If you look closely, this one looks like it's hand-painted, which I really appreciate. It's, you know, beautiful scenery, looking off in the distance, like classic. I like that quite a bit. But the actual card itself, guys, I would expect like a hotfix. I don't know, it just, there's so much you can do with this, and the only way to really play around it is to not really play decks that boost, but they're doing it for you. You see what I mean? So it doesn't matter in that case, it's just going to happen. And that's what makes it bad, and you're never going to go and like tall punish yourself by using a self spores or something like that. Like I could see maybe in some situations that could be kind of good, but it feels really bad to do, and you shouldn't have to do to make it work. I don't know, this one's going to be controversial, guys. What do you think of these new cards? I think that this design is... This is just like a really good card. I'm not upset by it, but it's just very good. This is interesting. This is pretty high utility. It does have a downside to it, but this just brings it all together, and it just feels kind of busted. I don't know. I thought we were past these days. Let me know what you think. Let's open up the conversation, guys. And I'm looking forward to checking out the new Qcento cards soon.